The Greek god Pan, in religion and mythology, is the companion of the nymphs, which are female spirits, god of shepherds and flocks of mountain wilds, hunting and rustic music. His name originates in the Greek language from the word pain, meaning to pasture. He has the hindquarters, legs and the horns of a goat, in the same manner as a faun or a satyr. With his homeland in rustic Arcadia, he is recognised as the god of fields, groves and woodland glens. Because of this, Pan is connected to fertility and the season of spring. In Roman mythology, Pan's counterpart was Faunus, which is a nature spirit who was the father of Bonadea. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Pan became a significant figure in the Roman Christ movement of Western Europe, and also in the 20th century neo-pagan movement. In some myths, Pan is the son of Zeus, although he is generally regarded to be the son of Hermes, or Dionysus, with whom his mother is said to be a nymph, sometimes Diope, or in the Greek poet Nonnus, Dionysia, a Penelope of Mantinea in Arcadia. Plato equated the name Pan to mean the all. Pan might be multiplied as the Panes, which would mean a whole tribe of Pans. The word panic comes from the Arcadian worship of Pan. Following the Titans' assault on Olympus, Pan claimed credit for the victory of the gods because he had inspired disorder and fear in the attackers, resulting in the word panic. He was later known for his music, and that would be the pipes, which was capable of arousing sexuality or panic. So, what has any of this got to do with the events inside the classroom on 9/11? Well, to understand this, we will have to look at what Pan represents in the occult world. Aleister Crowley, in particular, is known for his association with Pan, who he equated with the number 77 and Oz. One of his most famous works is, of course, the Hymn to Pan. Within the system of Thelema, the Night of Pan, or NOX, is a mystical state that represents the stage of ego death in the process of spiritual attainment. Pan represents nature, lust, and the masculine generative power. The Greek word Pan also translates to all, and so he is a symbol of the universal, a personification of nature, both pangenitor and all-begetter. A pantheage, all-devourer, therefore Pan is both the giver and the taker of life, and his night is that time of symbolic death where the adept experiences unification with the all through the ecstatic destruction of the ego self. In a more general sense, it is the state where one transcends all limitations and experiences oneness with the universe. In the AA, the system of attainment, after the adept has achieved the knowledge and conversation with his holy guardian angel, and he must then cross the great abyss, where he meets Chronosome, who will tempt him to hold on to his subjective self and become trapped in his realm of illusion. To escape the abyss, the adept gives up his safest sense of earthly identity in the symbolic gesture of pouring out his blood into the cup of Babylon. The adept then becomes a babe in the womb of Babylon, impregnated by Pan, and his lifeless self becomes as a pile of dust, taking rest in the city of the pyramids, which lies under the Night of Pan. This is why it is called night. It represents the lightless womb, and also that time before the dawning of the new sun, or rather the new self. He then waits in the sublime state until he is ready to move on to the next stage and become born again from the great mother of Babylon, begotten by Pan. According to Aleister Crowley, on the Night of Pan, in his Book of Liars, in the chapter titled Sabbath of the Goat, O is the heart of NOX and is the Night of Pan. Pan itself is duality, energy and death. Death is begetting, the supporters of O. To beget is to die is to beget. Cast the seed into the field of the night. Life and death are two names of A. Kill thyself. Neither of these alone is enough. In his commentary on this writing, Crowley states that It is explained that this triad lives in night, the night of Pan, which is mystically called Nox, and this O is identified with the O in this word. N is the tarot symbol, death, and the X or cross is the sign of the phallus. Nox adds to 210, which symbolises the reduction of duality to unity and thence to negativity, and it is thus a hieroglyph of the great work. He then goes on to explain the word Pan. Pan is explained as P, the letter of Mars, is a hieroglyph of two pillars and therefore suggests duality. A, by its shape, is the pentagram energy, and N, by its tarot attribution, is death. Nox is further explained, and it is shown that the ultimate trinity, O, is supported or fed by the process of death and begetting, which are the laws of the universe. It is then asserted that the ultimate letter A has two names or phases, life and death. So, just to briefly summarise all that, P is two pillars, A is pentagram energy, and N is death. This is the explanation given for the Devil Tarot card. The Fool comes to an enormous black mountain where reigns a creature, half goat and half god. At his hooves, naked people, linked to the gods thrown by chains, engage in every indulgence imaginable: sex, drugs, food, gold, drink. The closer the Fool gets, the more he feels his own earthly desires rising in him: lust, passion, obsession, greed. "I refuse to give in to you," he roars at the goat god, resisting with all his might. The creature returns a curious look. "All I'm doing is bringing out what is already in you," the beast responds. "Such feelings are nothing to fear, nothing to be ashamed of, or even to avoid." The Fool gestures angrily at the chained men and women. "You say that, even though they are enslaved." The goat god mimics the Fool's gesture. "Take another look." The Fool does so and realises that the chains are easily wide enough for the men and the women to slip over their heads. "They can be free if they wish to be," the goat god says. "Oh, you are right, I am the god of your strongest desires. But you see here, only those who have allowed their bestial desires to control them." At this, the goat god gestures up towards the peak of the mountain. "You do not see those who have allowed their impulses and aspirations to take them up to the top of that mountain. Inhibitions can enslave as well as excesses. They can keep you from following your passion to the highest heights." The Fool realises the truth in this, and that he is mistaken the goat god. He understands now that it is not a creature of evil, but of great power, the lowest and the highest, both of beast and god. Like all power, it is frightening and dangerous, but it is also the key to freedom and transcendence, if understood well and used. The meaning given for the card is that the devil in the tarot card represents not Satan, but Pan. It warns of the trappings of earthly and base desires, but warns also of becoming too restrained and too inhibited, which is also a trap. Its most important message is that any chain or collar is freely worn, and in most cases you are enslaved only because you allow it. Other observations about the card is that it is a card that sways towards the masculine energy. It has been argued that this is the most powerful and dangerous card in the deck. Magically speaking, it is the card in the deck that holds the secret of how to escape the material and temporal bonds of Earth. The ruling sign of this card is Capricorn. It is the 15th card in the deck, and directly after this card comes the Tower, which is ruled by Mars, and is about the war between the structures of liars and the lightning flash of truth. Interesting. Nevertheless, now that we know that Pan symbolises many a thing, including two pillars, pentagram energy and death, and that the Knight of Pan, or Nox, symbolises the death of the ego, and then the Trinity, and finally the phallus symbol. In short, two become one and merge with the universe, or the All, symbolised as Pan. That is to say, at death you enter the womb of Babylon, begotten or impregnated by Pan. The womb is Nox, on Trinity, on the Tree of Life, at which stage you become reborn. So we're back to death rebirth again. in a word, yeah, lift the seventh veil and you become illuminated or reborn into Christ consciousness. For it is said that lifting the veil means, to the ancients, seeing the great god Pan. Therefore, I think it is fair to say that Pan is synonymous with Isis. Now that we've gone into some depth on Pan, let us connect the events in the classroom to the events outside the classroom over in Manhattan. Bush and the kids chant "Plane must fly, hit still, plane must," and around this time Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower, 175 being 13, which is synonymous with the sun and therefore illumination. The plane hit the building between the 77th and the 85th floors. 77 is the number of Pan and 885 is 13, once again confirming the so-called illumination. All of this happened at 9:03 a.m. 93 is the number of Philema. 3 minutes after this, Bush is informed that the plane hit the building and continues to sit in the classroom as the kids chant "He ate pans and he ate pains," invoking Pan, and therefore invoking the pillars, the pentagram and death rebirth. Since Pan is the embodiment of the male energy, it is also fair to say that the phallic symbol was invoked, and therefore the negative. Interesting to see that the building to replace the Twin Towers will be a giant phallic symbol on a cube. So all the elements attributed to Pan's name by Crowley have come into play as a result of this ritual. P, the pillars, as in the Twin Towers. A, the pentagram energy, which is a pentagon. And N, death. Many were unfortunately killed in the physical sense of the word on that day, and many after as a result of that day. So the question is, why? Well, this will be explored after the bulk of the ritual itself has been revealed, and I'll begin on the large-scale ritual after a last brief few words on Pan. The events in the classroom were by far not the end of Pan-related phenomena on the morning of 9/11, and I will reach the point of explaining how else Pan was related to what unfolded that morning in due time. But for now, let me say that due to Pan being associated with the pentagram and the fact that he is a goat god, it would seem that he is, in all likelihood, the male aspect of Baphomet, the hermaphrodite goat-headed deity, which is also connected to the pentagram. According to Aleister Crowley, this is true. So what is also a fact, on the other hand, is that Pan's sign is Capricorn, which is the sign of the planet Saturn, linking Pan with the cube at Mecca, and therefore the sphere between the Twin Towers, possibly even the Great Pyramid at Giza.